Welcome into a brand new edition of WarUp on the WPIAL. Greg Warnock alongside Jeff Upson. And Jeff, we are through the team portion of the WPIAL championships, still hoping for that state championship to happen. But the results from this year in the WPIAL, essentially the same as last year. Waynesburg repeating as WPIAL champions. In Burrell, they do it for the 15th straight time. And every time we talk about this on the show, we say, Burrell's the top team until they get beat. And they proved it again. And kind enough to join us on the show is their head coach, Josh Shields. Josh, thanks for joining us here this evening.
Yeah, no problem, Greg and Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Well, you guys did it again 15 years in a row. And I know we've talked about this countless times and how each team, each senior group, and they don't want to be that team that loses it. But, just talk a little bit about, this season, because I think this season in particular is probably more challenging than others because of the shortened, condensed version we had.
Yeah, certainly, a season unlike, any other, just with, all the things we're dealing with just outside of, wrestling itself. And then you add in, the grind of the season and injuries that happen and things that could, go wrong. So it's definitely been a trying season, and we were, thrilled to, get to the point to wrestle for a WPIAL championship. And, I think, on Saturday, as a team collectively, we wrestled one of our, better matches of the year. It was a really, a good team effort, top to bottom. Burgettstown really, wrestled tough throughout that match. Especially if you're comparing the results of this year to last year. We scored a lot more bonus points in last year's match, and we were able to get a lot more falls in last year's match. And, this year it really wasn't the case. The Burgettstown kids really battled tough for a hard 6 minutes. So I think it actually really led to a pretty exciting dual meet from beginning to end.
And you guys jumped out to a huge lead against Burgettstown. And, looking at it on paper, because of the fact that you guys were giving up a forfeit in there at 113, you had to say this one's going to be pretty close. It's going to come down to the wire. But you guys opened up with the 28-0 lead, and a couple of big matches. The very first one being able to bump Ian Oswald up to 145, so that allowed Aaron Edwards to come in, and he's down 3-0. Has a huge second period where he rolls off 9 points, ends up winning that match, and then the huge one at 152 where DJ Slovic favored in that match, and Damian Barr, after being taken down in the first, gets the reversal, then the pin in the second. Those two matches were just huge for your team.
Yeah, certainly. We thought 130 was a pretty decent spot for us to start. Obviously, anytime you can get Sunday and Oswald out there relatively quickly, and that usually match creates momentum for the rest of the team. He is the leader. But like I said, it started off, like I said, Aaron had a nice come from behind victory. And then at 145, that kid wrestled tough from Burgettstown, did a heck of a job. And, he obviously knew his role. Wrestling Ian was to save as many bonus points as possible. And he did a really tough job fighting. And then, 152 is definitely what coaches would call a swing matches. We really saw that there being 4 swing matches throughout the dual meet, 152 being one of them. And for us to, not only get the win there early on, but to get it in a fall, that created a huge momentum for our team. And like I said, it was one of those matches that, bearing any major upsets, if we could get that win there, we felt pretty good throughout the rest of the duel.
And you guys carry that momentum into, be able to get the victory. And, big matches, obviously getting AJ Corrado to bump all the way up to 189 played a huge factor for you guys. Not giving up a fall at 285. Just it seemed like everything that you guys needed to have happen, it was coached the right way, and you guys got it to happen to be able to get that win.
Yeah, certainly. Like I said, obviously we weighed in, AJ at 172. We wanted to, our plan was to try to get him on Kemper if we could, but, their coaches did a good job as well and did their homework and actually weighed him in at 189. So it didn't allow us to, get that matchup. But, what it did obviously was we were allowed to get AJ on, Lehman, who's another tough kid, but AJ's just really been wrestling lights out this entire year. He's certainly on a mission, and, looking forward to, seeing what he can accomplish over these next 4 weeks. And then, like I said, also too, Colby Christie got a big pin. Not just that was another match that we thought we were favored, but to get a fall in dual meets like that just, like I said, gives your team momentum, and it gives the guys waiting back just some confidence.
And Coach Shields, I agree with you with Christie. Colby getting the fall at 170. Obviously that, or 172. That was a a match where you expected him to win, but to get the fall was so big. But also with Nico Farah at 120 having
Huge.
the 4-3 win against Suk. I mean, that's towards the end of the match it was already kind of put away, but man, that's a huge win for. It's like, your guys. And someone asked me this. They said, how does Burrell continue to do it? Why they just keep on producing? And the first thing I said was coaching, right? I mean, I was joking with some of the other guys at the Westmoreland County tournament that there was more coaches at Burrell than there were wrestlers there some of the times. I mean, you guys are family. You have all your guys always there, ready to go. Everyone's there watching. And I'm sure that starts with you, right?
Yeah, certainly. But I know. I mean, that was a huge match for Nico in that situation. Like I said, if you make that dual meet, that match, the second or third match, or the first match, any other place where it was at, that would have been a huge momentum swing for our team. But what that really just showed me is Nico in that spot, the dual meets, it's out of mathematically they can't come back at that time. But for him to go out there, against a tough kid. Like I said, kid we knew, he's a freshman, he's young, but, he plays the Powerade, a tough kid. We did some homework. You give a lot of credit to one of my assistant coaches, Isaac Greeley. He worked a lot with Nico Thursday and Friday in the room and sort of went over his opponent's tendencies. And, Nico, once again, just sort of executed perfectly during that match. Sort of gave up the first takedown but battled back. And, unfortunately, it was, won by the third caution and sudden victory. But Nico did a great job to get into that position. And like I said, I like Nico's chances of, riding him out in that situation. But, yeah, it just shows, really proud of Nico in that moment. Matches out line, but he still goes out there and beats a good opponent. And like I said, that's going to put him in a better position come districts and, give him some confidence that, he is one of the better kids in this area.
Talking about the streak, I mean, everyone always talks about the streak, the Burrell streak, and I always joke that you never bet against Burrell in a WPIAL team tournament. How difficult is it for you to kind of re-energize, get these guys focused to say, hey, we're giving up a forfeit, but yet we still have a lot to prove out here, and it just seems like, all right, this is the year someone's going to beat Burrell. And then it never happens. So, I think that's a testament to you. But, what's the message to the team before this? Like, it's not like a fear, like, hey, you don't want to be the team, but to break the streak. But it's got to be, hey, you guys can do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just, I think it gives our, we push it as, positive as have confidence. You've been here every single year as long as you wrestled on this Burrell team. You've been in the WPIAL championship. We wrestle in tough dual meets against some tough competition. So you've been in these, tough situations before. And we always say, the 6 minutes is nothing compared to what you go through Monday through Friday at 5:30. So, wrestle with confidence out there, believe in your conditioning, believe in your technique, and go out there and just execute for 6 minutes. Like I said, it's relatively easy compared to, some of the bar practices and, like I said, some of the other situations. So wrestle with confidence out there. Don't, I think our kids do an excellent job of in those big matches not freezing up and just letting it go. And I think you see some of our kids' best performances, in the WPIAL championship in those big matches, and you tend to see the opposite with some people. They don't wrestle their best in the big matches. So I have confidence as a coach that in those big situations that our kids are going to give it their best because of the way they're trained.
Yeah, and this year's specifically different because of the fact that there's not a PIAA team tournament scheduled just yet. How difficult is that for you to not only the uncertainty of having a team tournament, but keeping those guys around that may not make it past regions to say, hey, we got to come back and wrestle in the team tournament should there be one. I mean, that's got to be crazy to think of. I mean, I know WPIAL was the focus, but looking ahead, it's got to be difficult to keep those guys motivated.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be 4 weeks that we're going to sort of shift gears a little bit and focus on accomplishing our individual goals. But like I said, at the back of their minds, obviously, is going to be the state tournament, which concludes after the individual season. And like I said, I think it's going to be one of those things that it could be. I think it's going to be a benefit to a lot of these kids. Obviously, we're going to have to change up the practice schedule, and things are going to be a little bit different these next 4 weeks. But once again, obviously, they're focusing on their individual goals, and whenever that changes, they're driven to focus on their team goals, which, we have lofty team goals this year, and, we want an opportunity, to accomplish those team goals. We fell, really short last year's at top 6. The year prior, we were in the top 8. So, these kids are looking forward to, accomplishing their individual goals, making it as far as they possibly can, and then getting into the team portion, whenever that may be.
And talk about the individuals, action starting here in just a couple of days on Tuesday. It's going to be intense, from wrestling a round robin tournament in the subsection to then, the not many qualifiers advancing like we've seen in past years. Talk just about, what it's going to be like to kind of coach through that these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be, with, like I said, them taking limited qualifiers each and every week. You can't afford to have a bad weekend. You can't afford to slip up. And, we've seen kids that take 6th at WPIALs, for example, and make it to the state tournament. And unfortunately, with the bracket limits, you're not going to be able to do that. So you're really, going to have to be focused each and every match you wrestle. Not seeding, but, the basically getting seeded from the week prior, the competition prior is going to be critical. You're going to want to put yourself in the best position as possible. So like I said, you can't afford to have a bad day, a bad match, because that could really put you in a bad position, for the rest of that tournament, and then, looking forward as well. So you got to be dialed in.
Well, Coach, congratulations on 15 in a row. You can see Jeff sporting a Waynesburg shirt. I don't have a Burrell shirt, so I at least put on a light blue. I got Toy
there
Story
you go.
on,
Appreciate it.
I at least got light blue.
You've always been a
guys.
double-A guy. I expect that from Jeff.
You're gonna have to hook me up at least, Josh, with a shirt, so then I can say, Jeff, at least I got Burrell's back.
Hey, I'm a size large too, Josh. I mean, I would wear one. I mean, I could just steal one from one of the 10 coaches you have.
Mm-hmm.
Not Isaac though. I couldn't get within 3 feet of Isaac.
Yeah, I think you wouldn't get very too far with any of our coaches. I'll ask our boosters. I'm sure they could get you one.
Sounds great. Well, hey, congratulations again. 15 straight. That's just incredible. And best of luck as you guys head into individuals.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll see you guys down the road.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Yep. We'll see you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Josh Shields kind enough to join us, and what a run to be able to keep this going, 15 in a row. And, looking at the championships, Jeff, I was looking at it beforehand, and I thought this is going to be a pretty even match. Just straight up, I was actually looking at Burgestown could win 6 or 7 of these matches straight up. Now, obviously, bumps and moves change that. Teams making moves and getting some matchups, and Burrell was able to do that on a couple of them. But you look at these two. I mean, they matched up pretty well with one another, and that match at 152 I think was the biggest swing by far, and then 138 was huge because Kovic was up 3-0 prior to that one. So you take away those two matches and turn them in Burgestown's favor, and all of a sudden it's not a 20-point match anymore. It's more like a 4-point match. And then if Suica and Farah go the other way, now we're talking about does Burrell win 15 in a row? So I mean that's how close these teams were.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all about those matchups, right? And when we look at, where it started, it couldn't have started any better for Burrell. I mean, I guess it could have started better if Ian Oswald got a fall, but he got a major. Aaron Edwards, like you said, had a great second period, gets the fall, gets the decision, 11-5. Ian comes in with a major decision, but Damian Barr, I agree. Everyone, that's the biggest match of the dual meet. That's a pretty big swing for Burrell. But then there's small little battles like we talked about Colby Christie, him getting a fall over Nathan Neal at 172. I mean, this is a game of inches. A couple of matches, a couple of swing results going this way, and all of a sudden things have really changed. Cooper Hornack, I thought, looked really good against Santa Paul. And then, of course, Nico Farah, which we talked about, having that close 4-3 win. And like Josh Shields said, had that been maybe second or third match, that's such a huge match. I thought everything that could go Burrell's way did. I like the fact that they weighed in AJ Corrado up at 72 to bump him up to 89. I thought that was a smart move. And then Kemper goes up to 215 to get the fall. So you kind of trade, 6 points each there. But we talked about it beforehand, and I thought, Burgettstown definitely was in the running, but you never bet against Burrell, man. I thought Burrell was going to win, but 38-18, that really things really went their way big time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's where once 52 happened, it was like, okay, Burgestown's chances are pretty slim at this point, just by looking at the matchups from then on. After they got the win at 38 and then the fall at 52, everything else, obviously Simon Slotowski getting a decision over Ryan Green, and then the fall for Christie. But yeah, I mean and then 285. And by the way, that was just that match. I mean, at 285 with Joey Baronic. I mean, he was pushing Walsh the whole match, and for him to get hits for stalling in the second period was crazy.
I saw. Yeah, what was that about?
I have no that's got to be the worst call I've seen. I mean, Baronic was literally pushing him the entire first half the second before a stalling call finally goes up, and it goes on Baronic. I think the biggest thing that you're going to see out of this Burgestown team is that they are young. Baronic as a freshman I don't think he realized enough that he's got to keep pushing Walsh to get more stall calls to potentially be able to get the takedown. And, Burrell, they coached Walsh right. They said, hey, we need to keep you on your feet. You stay on your feet. You're not giving up bonus points. And that's exactly what happened. But Burgestown overall, I mean, I think they got a great team, and I think they're going to be back for a couple more years. They started 6 freshmen in this one and 1 sophomore. 7 of the 13 weight classes, they have complete underclassmen. They're going to be here, and Burrell, they're always going to reload and be right back there. So we could see this matchup a couple more times over the next couple of years. It's just that's how good these teams are.
Yeah, I mean, they really are. They're just, and, Burgestown's young. They have a couple young guys coming in, and they're going to, continue to get better. But, again, Burrell, when does it stop, right? They just keep on going. They never stop. And it seems like, there was a lot of there's kids on this team that weren't alive when the last time Burrell didn't win a WPIAL team tournament title. So that's crazy, but it's the reality of the fact. And I like what Josh Shields said about, trying to keep his kids motivated as they move on to an unknown team postseason, right? So it's weird. You're in that team mindset. Now you got to switch that individual mindset, and then you may have to switch back to that team mindset of getting you ready for a potential team tournament. So kind of interesting, but if anyone can do it, it's the coaching staff at Burrell, that's for sure.
You look at the rest of the AA WPIAL championships, and really, I think the one big surprise, and not really much of a surprise, Quaker Valley winning their section, but Burgestown winning theirs. Best Center got the 3 seed because Best Center had beaten Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant had beaten Quaker Valley, so that's why they were 3, 4, 5 and stacked up that way. Montour had a good tournament to finish in the second place in their section. Quaker Valley getting a big win over Mount Pleasant to avenge that loss, and then they challenged Burrell in the semifinal. Burgestown able to take care of business against Best Center and back-to-back, in the same week, Monday and Wednesday. But overall, it was, Burrell taking care of business as always. But, a good showing overall, I would say, by Quaker Valley as well.
Yeah, I mean, Quaker Valley was one that I thought was on the cusp, and they were on, but they wrestled really well in their sectional tournament. And then, of course, like you said, they wrestled Burrell tough, 41-27. That was a good match for them. So, I thought Quaker Valley wrestled really well, and they were a pleasant surprise to come out of there because we always talk about, all right, Burrell, Burgestown, and then, who's next, right? Who was it Laurel, was it Mount Pleasant? And Quaker Valley showed that, they were in the mix for sure.
Looking at AAA on the other side, it was Waynesburg who took another WPIAL championship back-to-back. Not too much of a surprise because of how dominant they have been throughout the entire season. And, not only WPIAL aspirations, but they are looking at a state championship, and they are hoping, just like Josh Shields and Burrell, that they get that opportunity. And to join us from Waynesburg to talk a little bit about their championship is Colton Stoneking. Colton, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Colton, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Awesome. There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
How's it going, Colton?
Going good, man.
Congratulations on winning a WPIAL championship.
Thank you.
Well, talk a little bit about how it went down. I mean, you guys had a great, excellent run. Obviously, it wasn't close as far as the championship match, but I think a lot of teams coming into it kind of conceded to the fact that Waynesburg being the strongest team coming in, to the season and going to run away with this one. But, how does it feel to get that WPIAL championship, off your, on the books and now moving on to the next phase?
It's definitely good. Our coaches are always, preaching, getting good competition. I mean, that wasn't what we expected to see Seneca Valley do. not send out any starters or anything. But, you know, we still took care of business, and now we're just ready for individuals.
And you had a great individual season as well. You know, obviously having a great Powerade tournament. You know, and Jeff and I have talked about how, you know, you've had a tough time finding your spot, but now you've had it, and now you're taking full advantage of it. So just talk about your season and how things are really going for you, and what you're happy about so far to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been happy about everything, you know. Past 2 years have been tough on me. I haven't really had my, you know, spot in the lineup. I've been behind, you know, all those guys, Hammett, Welsh, Henson. But now that I have my spot, I definitely feel good. Down at 132. Yeah, I'm happy with my season. I'm blessed to compete. You know, I'm ready for what's to come.
And when I look back at Colton, your kind of trajectory towards where you're at now, a lot of it started down at Super 32, right? You had a great Super 32 tournament. Last year you wrestled up as high as 145, and you know, now, like you said, you're settled into your weight class. You know, what was the mindset coming in the season? Because you turned a lot of heads down in Myrtle Beach. That had to feel pretty good for you coming into this season, just getting ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling those bigger guys last year, and all those big names really helped me a lot with my mindset. You know, coming to this season, I mean, the same thing. I just wanted to have fun this year, same as always. But yeah, those started at Super 32. You know, I lost my first match. I battled back. Still didn't place. Wasn't happy about that. But I mean, wrestling back 6-7 matches, that's still tough. So.
You made it a hobby of yours because you did that Powerade too, right? You know, so you go out and Jackson Arrington, just a buzzsaw, right? And I watched that match. You know, you were frustrated, not the match that you wanted to have, but I don't think that's any fault on yours because Jackson Arrington's just really, really good. But you just came back like a buzzsaw in that wrestleback. It's so easy to pack it in and say, you know, hey, I gave it a good shot, but you know, you came back and, you know, how much of that was mental? Because, you know, physically your body can do it, but mentally to come back like that and rattle off how many wins in a row to get third, I mean, that had to have been just a test on your mind.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, losing that match at Arrington, I mean, seeing that I got Arrington first round,
right.
I was like, holy crap, like, what? But, I mean, yeah, he's tough, real tough. I dropped down. As soon as I lost that match, my coach said, you can do it. Win the Ironman award. Take third.
Yeah.
But yeah, all heart. It was all heart, man. And that match with Nate Roth, all props to him. But, you know, that's very unfortunate. I was trying to wrestle, but the guy, I mean, he wouldn't let me up. So, I mean, props to Nate Roth. But, you know, it was all heart. All after that, yeah.
When you look at the team, right? I mean, you got Mac Church, you got Rocco Welsh, you got Wyatt Henson, you got guys top 5, top 10 in the nation. Luca, right? You know, Cole, all these guys, and you know, here you are, and you're trying to kind of mimic those guys. I feel like in that room, it's dog eat, you know, it's you know, dog eat dog kind of mentality, and it's like, you know, your round robin's got to be crazy. It's almost like you got to, you know, stay alive. It's got to be making you a lot tougher just going down, you know, these last couple years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that room every single day, we're just a bunch of killers, man. I mean, every single day we're actually ready to kill each other. Like, it's crazy. And our coaching staff is awesome. Just everyone in the room. It's a great atmosphere. We go hard every single day. Morning practices. But yeah, it's awesome, man. Just to have the opportunity to be around all these guys, I love it.
So you guys hate each other in practice, come out the door, you guys love each other again?
Yeah.
Well, you guys have individuals coming up, and it's going to be, you know, one after another. You got subsections coming up on Wednesday, going to wrestle, you know, 5 different matches, and then right into sections on Saturday before you get into that every weekend wrestling action. And not as many qualifiers, so it's going to be, you know, obviously tougher to advance each round. But just, you know, talk a little bit about, you know, what the challenges may be coming up here in the coming weeks for you guys.
You know, it's definitely tough this year, you know, with COVID and all the restrictions and stuff. But I mean, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Wrestle tough. I think we're capable of, I mean, with there being questions about this team state tournament, I think we can still get in the individual state tournament and win that as a team. But yeah, it's definitely different. But I think we're ready. We've trained for this our whole lives.
Well, we agree with you. We think you guys are the best in the state, and we're hoping that you get that opportunity here after individuals. So we'll see what happens, but fingers crossed that everyone can stay safe and healthy throughout individuals, that a team state championship can happen.
Yeah.
Congrats on the WPIAL championship, and best of luck as you head into individuals.
Thank you. And Jeff, I like that shirt, man.
I knew you would. I knew you would. Shout out Mac Church. Mac Church gave it to me, and I was like, I gotta rep it. I gotta rep it on the show today. So I knew you guys would like it. But yeah, appreciate Colton. You're doing a great job this year. Keep it going.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Colton Stoneking kind enough to join us on the show, and I got to figure out how I got to get one of those. It looks good on you, man. It looks good.
Thank you. I mean, I feel good. I mean, it fits nice. I had to change because I was wearing another shirt on our Power Hour talk. I was wearing the Central Mountain shirt. I was like, I gotta bring out the big gun here for my Waynesburg peeps. Waynesburg, they're a fun team to watch, man. They're really fun. They're really dominant, and they just, like Colton said, they don't lay down for anybody. They're so, ever since True Power, when we were able to host a bunch of Waynesburg guys, you could tell just the team dynamics, and really kind of started last year in Hershey after they lost. They've really been, that has not settled in them yet. They've been really still focused in on that, leaving Hershey with unfinished business. So it's just kind of transgressed into now when we talk about the team aspect of it. Winning this WPIAL title was one stop on that journey, that trek to a state title. But man, they're fun to watch. They bring it every match. They're guys, they wrestle hard. So I definitely believe Colton when he says that those guys literally try to kill each other in the room. I could see that. I can see those guys really going after it, and it shows on the mat.
It's very hard to get as much talent as Waynesburg has on one team, but then in addition to that, to get them on the line up in the weights as well, because they're not having two guys weighing at the same weight class. Everyone has their own spot, and they're going to come at you. I mean, no matter what team comes to wrestle Waynesburg, it's going to be, this is our lineup, come beat us. Yeah. You can bump around, you can do whatever you want, but this is our lineup. We're not making any changes.
Yeah.
And really, other than maybe sliding Darnell Johnson in and you could bump Luke up, I mean, there's not really much else you can do on movement side. They're going to come at you exactly with the wrestlers they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they go toe-to-toe and they say straight up, come and get us. Darnell Johnson has, he had a good match against Seneca Valley, but, other than that, there's really not a lot of wiggle room, and there's really not a lot of guys that, they're inserted into lineup. Like we talked about Burrell and how that's kind of a chess match. With Waynesburg, it's not a chess match. It is straight up mano y mano, right? You know what you're going to get, 106 all the way through 285. You know those guys. So it's kind of cool to see how they do that. And I really don't think there's a team in the state that can match them personally. But we'll find out to see if there is a team tournament that happens. Again, I kind of talked about it on the Power Hour show with Eric, but the rumors I'm hearing, the things I'm hearing are it's going to happen. The team tournament, the dual team tournament, state tournament is going to happen at Cumberland Valley High School on the 26th and 27th. There is nothing official, so don't come after me and say you were wrong. And because these are just rumors, and because maybe the PIAA hasn't made anything official yet. I just, I've been hearing it, so I thought we should at least talk about it. But, that was the biggest holdup, was the fact that, the PIAA was locked into the Giant Center. The Giant Center is tied up with basketball between District 3 and the state tournament. So you can't really say, well, yeah, we can get the Giant Center maybe on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but, traveling and all kinds of things, Hershey Bears, because the Hershey Bears play there. So it looks like it's going to be at Cumberland Valley. Again, you didn't hear that from me. So, I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not. But if it does, Waynesburg is going to be that team.
Well, and I guess there's going to be a couple-week delay too, right then, because individuals wrapping up. There'll be a good 2 weeks before teams, which is going to make the guys continue to have to watch their weight and have to be continued practicing.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, that's what it is, right? So you have that individual, and then you have a break. You're out for almost 2 weeks, and then you got to come back, and it's certainly not a perfect system, and it's probably not the way they want to set it up. And you look at it's kind of a shell of what it originally was, but it's just something, and I feel like the PIAA just saying, hey, we're gonna get something out there. Whether it works or not, I don't know. It's yet to be seen, and whether teams are actually going to compete in it. Because look how many teams and districts are just saying, we're not really too worried about that. We're not kind of focused on that. Let's just kind of, focus our individuals and go from there. But if there is one, and if Waynesburg's going, they're going to be the favorites. I said it before. You can mail them the WPIAL championship. You may want to start boxing up the PIAA team championship and start making it out to Waynesburg, because they're really, really tough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's the thing with the WPIAL teams. I mean, they're going to go out there to compete if there is one. So it's great that at least they're going to have potentially something on the books. So you look at the Waynesburg run, and you heard Colton say that they weren't really expecting Seneca Valley to send their backups out there, and resting a lot of their top starters, Alejandro Herrera Rondon, Dylan Chappell. And for Seneca Valley's side, they put matches out there, but at the end of the day, there was really not much benefit to sending their guys out there. And I don't really fault them for it, because Herrera Rondon's already wrestled Welsh twice. He's going to wrestle him at least probably 3 more times. Chappell's already wrestled Stoneking. He's probably gonna have to wrestle him again as well. They've had the matchups. They've seen the guys. They aren't going to win that match, no matter who you send out there. And to say, well, why don't we bump Herrera Rondon up so that way then, he doesn't have to wrestle Welsh again. Where are you bumping him to? Because you just got stud after stud after stud. So I don't blame them, honestly. I mean, keep them off the mat. Don't let them get hurt, and, let them go at it at individuals.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I don't see anything wrong with that. You're looking out for your team. You're looking out for your individuals. And it's the same conversation we had with Matt Leby and Franklin Regional and Vince Augustine with Hempfield, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? If you're not worried about COVID, you're worried about injuries. You're worried about, hey, showing my hand. Like you said, Ali and Rocco, they've wrestled a bunch, right? Why have another match in a dual meet that Waynesburg's going to win, and they're going to win handily? You wrestled them before, not necessarily in full strength. You were missing Hunter Swedish, but you wrestled them before and you still lost by 30 points. Now you have Chan Shear, who's out for the season. So why even force the issue? I'm 100% good with what Seneca Valley did, and I don't think they were doing it to disrespect Waynesburg. They were doing it to protect their kids, and why risk an injury? I mean, look what happened to Liam Volt-Klaas. He wrestled, and he ended up having to get 4 stitches in his face. I mean, now he's going to have to wrestle the individual postseason with a mask on. So you look at, is the juice worth the squeeze? I would say that's probably, one of those instances where I would say, hey, Kevin Wildrick and his staff, I think it was the right call for them. It's a team choice. It's an individual, sport. And we talked about how good Waynesburg is. They knew the writing was on the wall. And I don't think they were just laying down for him. I think they were just trying to, get some of their kids' experience and keep their big guns rested and ready to go. I don't have anything wrong. I have no problem with it either.
And honestly, kudos to them for even sticking it out. I mean, there was, Hempfield, Franklin Regional, Cannon, Mac, Butler, all jumping out of and then Kiski as well. They win a section championship. They jump out of the WPIAL championships. Seneca Valley stuck in there. They could have pulled out, and they didn't. And they decided, hey, we're going to at least get to the finals. And now, in any event, something happens, COVID-related, Waynesburg can't go. Maybe Seneca Valley comes in and gets to wrestle in a state championship if there is one. So you kind of set yourself up as a kind of the backup, but then, you got to where you needed to be. You knew you couldn't get much further, and you are there.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't want to make it sound like, oh, well, they stuck it out and these other teams didn't. Like, Hempfield and Franklin Regional, they made a choice that they felt was best for their team. And like Matt Leby, talking to him, said, if we would wrestle in the sectional tournament and then give up, you're still within that 10 days for the individual postseason.
Exactly.
So, like, why even risk it, right? So, yeah, I mean, I give Seneca Valley props, but, I don't think these other teams that pulled out were necessarily like, oh, we can't do it. We are not going to make it. Let's just give it up. But
no, what I'm
Waynesburg's
saying
that
though is
good.
Kudos for them to get that second place
Yeah,
spot.
no, that's
just
fine.
in the event Waynesburg can't go for the state championship.
For sure.
But no, I agree. I mean, I think it's a smart move by Hempfield, smart move by Franklin Regional, and I think all throughout this season, you and I have talked about Seneca Valley was the clear number 2. So we got our 1, we got our 2, and everybody else dropping. I don't have a problem with it.
Right. Yeah. Neither do I.
So you look at the team portion now complete. Now we're headed into the individual wrestling action, and that all starts Tuesday, pretty quickly thereafter. So weather depending, right? If wrestling's going to happen on Tuesday, I mean that's the other part of this whole crazy scenario. And whenever doing the broadcast with Mark Uriah on Saturday, he asked Frank Volcano, he said, what happens if there is inclement weather and we can't wrestle Tuesday? Is there a backup plan? He's like, nope. So I think they're, right now I'm sure they're talking about it now because of the storms coming in. Hopefully everything's cleared out by Tuesday midday that we can have the wrestling action start Tuesday afternoon. But, AA subsection start on Tuesday. It's a round robin tournament. Everybody wrestles each other. Top 2 kids from there go on to the section tournament. AAA, same deal. Wrestle everybody in your subsection. And that's going to be a lot of wrestling action. AAA is on Wednesday and Thursday, depending on when your subsection wrestles. But that's essentially 5 matches you're going to have, up to 5 matches that you're going to have in one night, plus the 45-minute rule. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of wrestling in one night.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be there till 10:30 at night. I don't know what time it starts.
Least.
Do you know what time it starts?
I think it started at 5.
Yeah, that's
5
a
o'clock.
long, with the 45-minute wait, that's a long night to go, into wrestling. And then, you look at some of the sections that are wrestling or the subsections that are wrestling, that night on the 18th, you go back and you have one day of practice on the 19th, and then you're right back to work. You have your sectional tournament on the 20th then. So, I understand what they're trying to do with the round robin tournament, getting those top 2 out of the subsection into the sectional tournament. But it's a quick turnaround for those teams. And then you throw in the weather. Man, this is like, what if you don't have school Friday, and you wrestled Thursday night? You're not going to get a practice in until before the sections start on Saturday. I don't know. But look at AA too. You're wrestling your subsections, your sections, and your WPIAL all within 5 days, 4 days. So
yep,
it's a, for all the wrestling we missed, you're going to be getting a lot here in just a short period of time.
And after once you get through this week, then it's only Saturdays from here on out. So you're kind of back into that normal grind, and actually you're getting less because because of the fact you're only having to wrestle one day on Saturdays and they're smaller tournaments. But with that being said, this week is just going to be a lot here this week. So before we break down how many kids are going to be advancing, let's first turn it over to Nick Fuller of the Tactical Mind to let him share what he's got going on.
This is the Tactical Mind, and I work with athletes in the field of sports psychology as a cognitive performance coach. Within 5 minutes of talking to a parent, they make the connection right away that this would be great for my kid to have when they're in college, when they're just going through the ups and downs of high school. Who wouldn't benefit from having more self-awareness? Who wouldn't benefit from having the ability to self-regulate our emotions and our counterproductive thoughts? Who wouldn't benefit from having more optimism, not just on the field, but in life?
Code POWER, POWER, to receive 50% off your initial consultation with Nick. So looking ahead here for this week, so AA and AAA with the subsections, top 2 wrestlers out of each subsection will advance into the section tournament. From there, you're going to have 4 kids wrestling in a section tournament. AA's on Friday, AAA's are on Saturday morning. For AA, that's those 4. Out of those 4, the top 2 will then advance into the WPIAL championships, which will be wrestled on Saturday. For AAA, those top 2 out of each section will then wrestle in the WPIAL championships the following Saturday. So again, top 2 out of each subsection go to sections. The top 2 out of sections go to the WPIAL championships. And then for AA, out of the top 6, it is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, 3 going to the Southwest region?
Correct. Yep.
So the top 3 then go to the Southwest region. So after this weekend, we'll have 3. By the time we do a show this time next week, we're going to know the 8 kids remaining in AAA in the WPIALs and the top 3 WPIAL wrestlers going on to the Southwest Regional Tournament.
It's like I need to create like a jingle for all the qualifiers. So it's 2, 2, 3, 5. So 2 from your subsection, then 2 from your section, 3 from your district, 5 from your region. So if you could think of like a tune that we can make like a soundtrack to, that will help people remember that it's 2, 2, 3, 5. That's what it is.
So
And
so
4.
explain to me then.
Then technically 4 after that too, because you have 4 going from the super region to the state tournament.
So for AA, will it be a 10-man bracket for the super region?
No, for the super region, it's so. If you're looking at the West Super Region, it's still an 8-man bracket. You have 5 going from the Southwest, 3 coming from the Northwest. So it's not 10. You only get 3. The Northwest only gets 3 qualifiers to the West Super Region. So if you look at years past, it's the Southwest region isn't any different in terms of what districts are in there. You have 5, 6, 7. District 5 qualifies first 2 to the regional tournament. District 6 qualifies 3. District 7 qualifies 3. So that's 8. 2, 3, 3. Now 5 of those 8 will make it to the West Super Region in AA. They will mix with the Northwest region, which sends 3. That makes 8.
What about AAA for the Super
AAA
region?
is a lot different, Greg. You look at AAA. It's the same with your sections. So you have 2, 2. Coming out of your subsections and your sections, but then when you look at coming out of the actual district, you're only having 3 come out of District 7. So you have 3 coming out of District 7, which is, District 7 is its own self-contained region, but the West Super Region in AAA is bonkers. So in the West, you have the Northwest, which will send their top 2. Then you have the South Central, which is like the Harrisburg area, Lancaster, Lebanon area. They're gonna be sending 3, and then you have the Southwest, which sends 3. That's 8. So 2 from the Northwest, 3 from the South Central, 3 from the Southwest. That's a lot of wrestlers that are going to be very, very close. I mean, the South Central Regional, which is District 3, is a very tough region. Southwest, obviously, super tough. But then you have Northwest, which is the most densely populated region because you have 5 different districts. You have District 4, you have District 6, you have District 8, District 9, District 10, all in that same region. It's a lot. So AAA is a little bit different. AA is a little bit more evenly matched because it's 4 regions, but in AAA there's 5 regions in the state. So that's why the South Central's got to go either to the West or the East, and it just so happens they put them in the West. So now you have a loaded super region in the West with 3 regions in one. It's that super region is going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a couple of times, one weight class in particular, 152, where the top 5, 6 guys are all in that region. Yeah,
I mean, there's not a lot of room. And what Eric and I talked about on the Power Hour, there's going to be a lot of guys that aren't making it out that are ranked pretty high. I'll give you an example. 189. You have 3 really quality kids that are all in subsection 1A. So you have Roskoski, who is a state 6th place medalist last year. Brandon Roskoski currently ranked 2nd at 189 pounds. You have Logan Harmon from Armstrong, who was a state qualifier last year. He's a senior. Brandon Roskoski is a senior. Then you throw in Justin Hart from Hampton. He's also in 1A. He's a 3-time state qualifier. He's a senior. You have 3 guys. One of those guys is not making it to your section tournament, not your not your district tournament, your section tournament. That to me is insane, but that's because you have 3 really good guys in one subsection. The same can be said for 4A. At 160, you have Stafford from Canamac, Stevenson from Waynesburg, who they've gone back and forth, and Char Valley's Christopher Beatty. Those are all in 4A, so that's pretty deep as well. I don't know necessarily how things are going to play out, but I just do know that there's going to be a lot of good guys who are not going to be making it to even their section tournament. You're talking about returning state medalists and state qualifiers that aren't making it to their section tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I know there's been talk about those making it to the super region being quote unquote state qualifiers. Is that still going to or is that more of a PA power thing?
Yeah, it's more of a PA power thing, So for us, when we put their past year's results, we're going to put an SQ beside their name as state qualifiers if they make it to the super region, which I think's fair, right? It's essentially the medal. You're going into the medal round of the state tournament. If you're making it to the super region, you're wrestling for a chance to get a medal, because if you make it to the Hershey, if you make it to the top 4, you're guaranteed a medal. So. We're calling it the state qualifiers, but I don't think the PIAA is too worried about what they're calling it, right?
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of things to worry about, so I'm sure that'll be the least of their worries for sure. Well, we got a lot happening here this week, Jeff, and it's been fun getting set for this time, but this is gonna be a pretty crazy week with wrestling, so. Everybody just buckle up, stay with us. We're going to provide as much content as we possibly can throughout this entire week. And Jeff and I will be here next Sunday around the same time to wrap things up from what is going to be a crazy week and just get you set for what will be, the eliminators, coming up here with the Southwest Region and WPIAL Championships that following Saturday. So
it's like clearing hurdles, right? You're just clearing hurdles every week, and you're trying to get through, to the next round and just advance. And it's going to be tough for these teams. And one thing I want to mention before we go is some of these injuries that we're seeing. Chan Shear, as I mentioned, from Seneca Valley, return state qualifier, a guy who was top 10 in the state all year, he's out. And I'm hearing Mac Stout probably unlikely to go as well. So, those are 2 big names. Obviously, Mac was the number 1 ranked kid in the state, but it's a tough thing, right? And we talked about why rest these guys and why not wrestle your stars. It's like, well, these are things that now you're not only dealing with COVID, but you're dealing with injuries, you're dealing with weather. It's just like everything that the universe can throw at you, the universe is throwing at us.
Yeah, and it's a shame those guys can't go. Mac with the UCL injury, like I said, very unlikely to happen. Chan's with that shoulder, and I think if he was given a couple more weeks, Chan's would be out there. I don't know if Mac would be or not, but Chan's definitely would be, and now they're just not going to be able to get that opportunity. So, this is why teams held people out, because the injuries that could take place at any moment. There's no recovery time whatsoever. You have an injury in your subsection tournament, you have 1 day to rest up, because then you're wrestling in your section tournament the next day. So
yeah, it's rapid fire week after week after week. You got subsections, sections, districts, regions, super regions, states, week after week, 5 weeks in a row. It's a lot of wrestling. There are going to be some kids that unfortunately are probably going to be held out because of COVID. And Eric and I were actually talking about the masking requirement, and this was kind of a bombshell that Eric dropped on me during the power hour. But signing a form beforehand that says that you will consent to wrestling somebody without a mask. If you have to forfeit a match potentially because your school won't allow you to wrestle somebody without a mask, that could be causing some issues too. So there's going to be a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges to wrestlers, coaches, administrators to getting the next 5 weeks off, because it's one thing, everyone out east is wearing masks when they're wrestling. So what happens when those people from the east come out here to the super region in the west, right? When District 3 guys come out here to the west, what are they going to do? And when their opponents don't have to wear a mask, there's a lot of questions surrounding that, Greg.
Yeah, and you really can't ask the guys who've been wrestling all year without a mask, without that requirement being done by their school, to make them do it. So
Right.
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, that super region is still a few weeks away. Maybe things will lessen by then. You don't know. I mean, everything changes day by day. But yeah, that's another great point, and something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. And limited fans and everything else. It's a mess.
It's a lot. It's a lot. My brain.
We're gonna
hurts,
try to
Greg.
make the most of it. I'm sure everybody else is thinking that too when we were doing the jingle, right? 2 2 3 5, whatever you said.
2 2 3 5 4. It's like 1-800, like that song. It's like that,
I got it. I love it.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations to both Burrell and Waynesburg for repeating as champions. Burrell winning their 15th straight, just unprecedented, and Waynesburg winning their second straight. And thanks a lot to Coach Josh Shields of Burrell, as well as Colton Stoneking of Waynesburg, for joining us on the show. For Jeff Upson, I'm Greg Warnock. Thanks for listening in to War Up on the WPIAL.